college been different for you so far?
Hey, so far college has been good, although it is completely different than high school. College is easier than high school because we have a choice on what and where we want to learn.
Not quite true. Choices are determined by circumstances.
Who are you?
I'm Andrea. Where did you go to school and how was it?
I went to Trumbull High School. It was a good school and it offered a lot of opportunities.
Are there any neighboring towns that have different amounts of opportunities?
Yes, the town next to mine, Bridgeport, has fewer opportunities. Why do they have such different learning experiences, as explained by my friends than me? Is it because of where they live?
Research shows that household income determines the social status of the area that public schools are located in, which is still impacted by racial redlining. In New York City, 55% of Asian, 55% white, non-Hispanic middle school students are in schools where they are likely to score well on the English language arts assessment at grade 8, while only 8% of Black and 16% of Hispanic students have the opportunity to attend those schools. New York City's middle school inequities become high school inequities and could ultimately result in life inequities.
Does that happen in Connecticut too?
Yes, we can see this exact trend in Connecticut. Trumbull students, which are majority white with higher income, have learning rates that are 6% higher each grade than the U.S. average, while Bridgeport students with lower incomes, which are majority African American, Hispanic, or Latino, learn 3% less each grade than the U.S. average. This study is not solely determined by the teacher or student. It is all about the area where the school resides that is determined by an average household income, which can be impacted by race. Ashley Gomes, an experienced teacher from Trumbull High School, explains, "I think that equity is really important because without that, education is never going to be equal from district to district. Students and teachers need regular, updated, and current professional development to prepare students for an ever-changing world. A district needs to be able to hire excellent teachers. Some districts can do these and others cannot."
So, does that mean that since income can affect the education a student can get, we should strive for an equitable education instead of an equal education?
Yep, pretty much. An equitable solution could involve more funding from the government that does not come from the low-income towns' taxes for the schools that need more help, while increasing the possibility for parents to provide and encourage educational growth to the students in the community. Now that we know income affects opportunity in education, let's talk about history class as a common core.
What did you learn about in your history or social studies class?
In my high school history classes, I was mainly taught more old history rather than new history and current events. Although old history is important to teach students, I would have liked to learn about newer history and current events happening throughout the world, but mainly in Connecticut.
Is there a way high school students can learn more about new history?
Yes, there absolutely is a way for that. There's a framework called the C3 Framework for Standards for Social Studies.
What does the framework do for students?
The framework allows high school students to learn more content-relevant information in history and social studies. The C3 framework requires students to take inquiry to make students more curious about their learning and ask more questions about their learning. The inquiry arc for the C3 framework has 4 dimensions that teachers should apply to their teachings that will make social studies and history more content-relevant. Dimension 1 is developing questions and planning inquiries. Dimension 2 is applying disciplinary tools and concepts. Dimension 3 is evaluating sources and using evidence. And Dimension 4 is communicating conclusions and taking informed action. There are also many ways teachers can make sure they're doing their part to help students learn new information.
Really? How so?
Schools can recruit, prepare, and retain competent teachers by better utilizing their knowledge and talents within the subject of social studies. Teacher assessment, selection, and retention of teachers in the policy agenda, as well as enhancing teacher training, also helps make sure students are teaching more relevant information on the topics students learn.
So now that we know about new effective frameworks for social studies and history classes, let's talk about the standardized curriculum for Connecticut.
We all know that since the No Child Left Behind Act, there has been a dramatic rise in the use of standardized testing and curriculum. There is also part of the increasing influence that the College Board has over what students learn in order to do well on their tests.
What does the College Board do in our education system?
The College Board runs the SAT, ACT, and AP testing. It also helps with both the Common App and aligning Common Core standards. Back to the point though, the word standardized can be misleading because it makes it sound as though all students in Connecticut are getting the same education. That is simply not true. With the Accountability Act, standards implementations varies depending on district, school, and even the teacher.
So what does standardized curriculum actually teach?
Well, The intent behind Common Core state standards was to increase the flexibility of learning. However, it does require there to be common, clear goals for the teaching style. Examples would be SLOs or student learning objectives. So standardized curriculum mostly teaches to a test, which does not encourage personal thought in students. CCSS has in reality led to teachers using scripted programming to meet the requirements of the standards in place of making their own lesson plans. Also, most students feel that there is not room for their own personal thought or interpretation of the curriculum.
Okay, so if the current standardized curriculum in Connecticut doesn't help students in any way, then what should we be doing?
We need to find new models of curriculum that are more beneficial in the long run. Ones that rely on students demonstrating their thinking skills and how they can creatively solve problems. The multimodal critical literacy has been set in place to work around the limits of the standards. Critical literacy is helping students interact with the real world behind a state mandatory test. A newer model that came out in 2013 was the Next Generation Science Standards, NGSS, which actually is a positive form of standardized curriculum because it teaches real-life models and is founded based on asking questions. With these new modes, the state could be producing more well-rounded students who know how to apply what they have learned to life. Students who learn to ask questions and use their own creativity to their benefit. There's always room for change in the standards, and that is what Connecticut students need right now. Actually, the Marine Science Magnet High School in Groton, Connecticut utilizes NGSS testing, and they develop a great curriculum for their students. Let's hear from Amy Furland and Colleen Hardison.
Hi, my name is Colleen Hardison, and I'm the assistant principal at the Marine Science Magnet High School. I was asked to speak today a little bit about NGSS and the Common Core curriculum. So the first question that I'm going to try to answer is, how does NGSS testing work and how effective is it? So at the high school level, NGSS test is offered in the spring of students' junior year. Unfortunately, last year, because of COVID, we weren't able to offer the test. But as of right now, the test is scheduled to be offered in the spring of 2021. Since we are a one-to-one school, all students take the test on their school-issued laptop. There is a secure login that students use and a program that shuts down all the other apps on the computer. Previously, MSMHS was ranked 5th in the state for NGSS scores. We feel our students are very prepared for the test because of the amount of science courses our students take here. We also have one teacher who we've named as the project leader of NGSS, and she helps to ensure that all of our science curriculum is aligned with NGSS standards. This past summer, many science teachers came together to revise the curriculum with an emphasis on NGSS. NGSS has released practice tests, and starting early their junior year, students start taking the practice tests in their science courses. Since the test is given completely online, we've figured out that our students feel that they are not only prepared with the content of the test, but also in manipulating the online testing features. So for example, students are less nervous about the actual test because they've had a chance to practice using the computer calculator and running the online simulations that the test requires. Unfortunately, I don't think that the test has been around long enough for us to really know how effective it is. I believe that that will come with more time as the NGSS committee at the state level works through all of the data that they've collected so far. So the second question that I'm going to try and answer is, why does your school set a great example for a Common Core curriculum compared to other schools in Connecticut? And while I cannot speak for other schools in Connecticut, I will say that MSMHS has done a lot of work to make sure that our curriculum is aligned to Common Core standards. Our curriculum is truly a living document, and teachers have the ability to work with their departments to revise and update their curriculum every year. Part of this revision process involves looking at the Common Core standards and ensuring that they're being taught and that there is solid vertical alignment wherever possible. For example, just this summer, the social studies teachers met as a department to review their curriculum, and they took a deep dive into the standards that were addressed at every grade level. Normally, a struggle that we have as a magnet school is that we receive students from multiple, currently 35, different middle schools. All of these students are coming from different backgrounds and different middle school experiences. It makes it really difficult to know what they've learned and what they still need to learn as they enter ninth grade with us. If implemented with fidelity across the state, the Common Core should help lessen the question mark that we have for what standards our ninth grade students have been exposed to.
Thank you, Colleen. We appreciate the explanation of NGSS and the correlation it has to the common standards. MSMHS is trying to set a new example of how students use the Common Core curriculum and NGSS testing in order to receive the highest test scores. Not only do students at this school score higher, but they're also very prepared in knowing what the curriculum consists of.
Oh, it seems like the method that the Marine Science Magnet High School is using is working perfectly.
It is, and did you know 83.3% are unaware of their curriculum in regards to who develops it and what it consists of, and of those students, 98.9% of them wish that their curriculum was improved. What Marine Science is doing differently is publicly posting every course's curriculum on the school's website. Throughout the school year, teachers are given common prep time, PLCs, to meet with colleagues to review and revise curriculum based on assessment data. Teachers are free to revise daily objectives, differentiation strategies, formative assessments, and resources. Teachers who wish to change essential questions, enduring understandings, unit goals, or unit tasks must meet with an administrator for approval. This allows both the teachers and the students to spend time on what they need to, while also getting a chance to teach what they would like to and how they would like to.
Well, what should these schools do?
It can be stated that all K-12 curriculums have their flaws. The findings challenge teachers within the K-12 system to change their curriculum. Although there are requirements needed for each class, the curriculum should be standardized across the state. This is very important for both students and teachers to develop an understanding about the curriculum, as it has an effect on grades. As we talked about before, education varies depending on where a student lives and what they can learn. Even though it seems like there is an enormous amount of problems and injustices in the education system, there are solutions to providing more opportunities and better education to students. Marine Science is just one of the schools making a change to their curriculum for a better outcome for their students.
Well, that makes sense. Thank you, Andrea.
My pleasure. Now I have to get back.